Hello and welcome to this unit card breakdown on some Ogre Infantry, which we got from Legend of Total War's video that he published today. First one we are going to look at are Knobblers, the little goblin creatures, and we see here that they're Spear Infantry. They have 0 armor. Of course they have negative leadership. We don't know exactly what leadership they have. As you can see, this is during the video. I couldn't grab an actual fresh Knobbler card. They are expendable. They have charge bonus, weapon strength of 21, melee defense of 26, melee attack of 18, speed of 35, yada yada yada. Really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go over the points that matter more. They're Spear Infantry. They're expendable. They seem really cheap. They have 160 units. They seem like possibly the starts of a crap stack, maybe. I don't know. With that 0 armor, that seems a little weird, but with a pretty good melee defense off the bat, we'll see. Next one we are going into is the Knobbler Trappers. We do have a fresh unit card on this one. They have a leadership of 50. They have some armor. They are expendable, they have an ability, and they seem to have maybe a stalk with them. So I'm getting a little bit more of like the goblin stalkers. But these guys have a range attack on top of them, which probably pushed them over top of the regular Knobblers. Which, as you can see, I'm going to be circling this. The Knobblers are a rank 1 troop, and the Knobbler Trappers are a rank 2 troop, which will probably change up how some of the stuff is. So you probably are going to be rushing Knobbler Trappers and then gain that missile and range of 70 range. These are probably going to be more equivalent to Skaven using slingers or something, and maybe crap stack with these guys. Their melee defense seems pretty good. Melee attack's pretty good. Weapon strength, alright. Ammunition of 10, which seems really low, so they are probably actually maybe on the charge throws those attacks. Yet they have your trappers, so they have an ability. Maybe that ability means that you keep people in place. Okay, next thing is Saber Tux Pack. These are like wolves. If you've seen the video, you maybe missed their icon or this thing popping up, but these are like the wolf units of the ogre troops. Now, I barely saw this. I missed this on my first time through scanning for unit cards, but these guys have 95 speed, which is really fast, have some armor, have sort of decent melee attack and melee defense, has alright weapon strength, but there's one problem with these guys. They rampage. If you've seen that ability, there's an exclamation part. That is the rampage icon, and I think they're expendable also. So a unit to be wary of with the rampage, but at least they will probably not hit your stuff too hard. And you can see here the HP. Okay, next we are going to be going over ogres, or otherwise known as Ogre Bulls. Now, you see the two unit cards. One's from base game and one's from 3. And as we look at it, there's differences between the two. Ogres have 18 units in it, but Ogre Bulls have 24 units in it. Now, this makes me slightly uninclined to think that these are the same units. This might be a slightly different unit, as is the abilities down below show. But it might be that they get some more perks or some more stuff because they're not mercenaries. We don't know. But as you can see, there is some differences. There is 2 units that we know for sure that are the same units that we will be seeing shortly. So yeah, these are the Ogre Bulls. They have slightly more melee defense, less melee defense by like 1, and more melee attack. I mean, less melee attack actually. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Total Warhammer 2 one, and but these Ogre Bulls do have more armor than their counterparts. They have more leadership. They have the same speed. And they don't have the armor piercing as the regular ogres do. So these might be different units, maybe not. But as you can see with the Ogre Bulls, they have missile resistance, which will help them over their direct competitors. Next, we're going to go with the Man-Eater Great Weapons. So Man-Eater Great Weapons. You, again, are seeing the same two things pop up. This time, we see that the Man-Eater Great Weapons indeed have 4 more units, has the same armor, same leadership, same speed, 2 less melee attack, and 3 less melee defense, along with 4 more charge bonus and some more abilities that are not seen on the other unit card. What these abilities are, we don't necessarily actually know, because we didn't play the game. I've been taking these unit cards from the video. I don't know what these abilities are, and they didn't play as ogres. Again, as tier 2 unit. But as shown, it seems like there's some slight differences between the two man-eaters. So it'd be interesting seeing whether or not the mercenaries get changed over when they get moved over or not. Alright, let's go on to the next one, which is Man-Eaters with Ogre Pistols. Now, as we can see, again, 4 more units than the one in Total Warhammer 2. Some more abilities. It's almost like a ability they took out from other ogres is being placed in for these units in 3. Now, if we look at the stat lines, they are relatively the same, except for the ones in 3 have 91 leadership, while the other ones have 80. The ones in 2 have 80. Melee defense is less than 3 in the ones in 3. Melee defense looks less. Melee attack looks less. Weapon strength looks the same. They have more charge bonus in 3. They have less ammunitions. I mean, that probably makes up for their having 4 more units. The 2 shots that they lose. And everything else looks like the same. So there's slight differences between the two. I don't know whether or not it would be prevalent or not. Alright, now we go to the next unit. Monstrous Infantry. A tier 2 unit, it looks like, from the card. And I apologize for the quality, but I had to get these a little bit off really fast, because this is one of the other units that had a slight change over and was real quick. So these are Groggers. Groggers look like, I guess, are more ogres that are probably more like troll-like. They have Unbreakable, which can be good, and some other abilities which we don't exactly know. I'm doing this based off of the icons I recognize. They have no armor. They have really high weapon strength. They have 8 entities, and they have kind of pitiful melee defense and kind of all right melee attack. I'd rather have more melee defense and with no armor. And them being unbreakable, they're gonna be gone before you know it. Seeing them. So, that's all I have to say about the Groggers. I mean, there's not much to talk about them. Now we'll get on to some other units that they have. We have a new Morphing Cavalry units with Iron Fists. I don't know whether or not this is the same Morphing Cavalry as we got in 2, but just in case, I brought up their icon in there. Now, these aren't supposedly the same units. I'm pretty sure they're not, but we don't exactly know, because I haven't been able to see their unit card. But everything looks about the same, except for a few numbers adjust here and there. Like the charge bonus is higher on the Iron Fist. Melee defense is actually higher on this one. Melee attack is down. Speed is the same. Leadership is a little less, but maybe the same. Armor, they have a little bit more armor, and they have shield, what looks like to be shields. So I'm guessing these aren't the same unit, but this is a tier 3 Morphing Cavalry unit. And if I remember, I'm real quick. If I remember correctly, I'll pull it up. They are actually the same units. As we can see here on the camp page, they're a tier 3 unit. The only cavalry unit we see here at tier 3, other than in this first area, the second building tree and the basic military, I can't quite see what that is, but in the actual cavalry tree that we see, it is our old boys, the regular Morphing Cavalry. So this might be the Morphing Cavalry. They get shields now, which makes them significant better than their mercenary versions. Or it could be the one in the basic military tree with the dogs. We'll see. Alright, let's move on to Crushers. Crushers with great weapons is another monstrous cavalry unit. I'm guessing this one is the tier 3 that we have in the basic military building, actually. Sorry to burst your guys' bubbles real quick, but it seems like that's where it is. So these guys seem pretty damn good with 120 armor. That means they can block at most 60% of the damage. And have a leadership of 35, speed of 75, which is pretty damn good. They're anti-infantry and armor piercing with 153 weapon strength. They have 54 melee defense and 44 melee attack. This seems like a pretty good unit, honestly. Charge bonus, don't really care. It's 80 though. And they have 12 entities. So, seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. I like this unit. This unit seems pretty good for a tier 3 unit. I might go to that basic military building and just go get these guys instead of the Morphing Cavalry. Next, we have another unit. Sorry, I just read something and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, they're cavalry, so it doesn't matter. Okay, now moving on to lead belchers. These guys were the interesting look at. These guys are considered tier 2 units, which doesn't make much sense considering no building has a tier 2 range unit. So I'm guessing that that sigil next to them doesn't mean much other than maybe their rank. I'm guessing that's their actual rank though. I don't know. This is very confusing. That number right next to their personnel might be wrong. I can't tell. It seems to correspond and then instantly goes flat for some reason. Anyways, these guys are range units. These guys have 200 range and 94 missile strength. So these guys seem interesting. They have 7 ammunition. Not much ammunition. They seem like they will shoot before they go into combat, but they don't seem like that good of melee combatants. I don't know. This seems really weird of a unit. Again, this was during battle, so they probably have actually more ammunition than what is being shown here, so we don't exactly know. This was during combat. I apologize if they actually have more, but we actually are getting unit cards, so got really excited showing this and this heading straight into this. So they have 200 range, 94 with armor piercing, missile strength. Now these could be shotguns, which both me and my friend say that they're shotguns, which makes sense for point blank cannon fire, but it could be like the deck droppers, or not the deck droppers, the deck cannons from Pirate Coast, where they shoot a single bullet, but instead of having long range, they're really close. But that doesn't explain this missile strength right here of 94. They should be higher if that's the case. So it's probably shotguns. So interesting unit. Excited to play with them. Now we are going to. They have their Obliquatory Giant. Yes, you heard me right. A giant. They have giants. And I'm just real quick looking, and I don't see a giant on the fort page, so especially at tier 3. So I don't know why this is considered maybe a tier 3 unit. We'll see what that icon actually means, because there's been a back and forth of whether or not those mean actually what they show. Armor's low, leadership's very high. Wow, that's a high leadership for a giant. 120 leadership. Jeez. High weapon damage at weapon strength as we expected. Armor piercing, high melee attack, low melee defense, low speed as expected of a giant. But it looks like the giant might have a regen. As you can see there, you squint a little bit, that is equivalent of the regen icon. Or that is actually the new icon for single entities, where they decrease in strength as they get lower. That could be the wounded trait, actually. I could have been wrong in my previous videos. That could be the wounded trait. That probably is the wounded trait. I was noticing that icon during the video amongst other units, and it only was really popping up on single entities. That could be the wounded trait. That used to be the icon for the hunger a little bit. So I got confused and thinking that was regen. That might be actually just straight up wounded trait. That is probably the wounded trait. We'll see. Next we'll go into their artillery. Artillery. Which is a catapult called the Knobbler Scrap Launcher. This is probably one of your early units. It is a tier 3 unit. I can see it right now on the freaking on the camp page. It's straight up a tier 3 unit, and it's coincides with that icon, but there have been confusing things with those icons. Like, that could be also because some units correspond with that and some units don't. But anyways, it's a single entity, which again, it looks like it has the wounded trait. But these guys actually have a good weapon strength and a decent, not really decent melee attack, but damn, if you get hit and you're infantry, wow, watch out. You're getting armor pierced and hit a ton of damage. Wow. Their range is 420. I want to say plays it. I'm just going to say 420 plays it. And their missile strength is 490, which is actually pretty decent. They have, at this point, 17 ammunition, so I'm going to guess around maybe 20. And it doesn't look like a bad unit, actually. Their speed is 66. What? They are pretty fast, little bugger. They're a fast bugger. Jeez. But they do have the wounded trait, as it's a single entity. So it would be an interesting take. Now, here is the second, I want to say sort of artillery, sort of like the Stegodon, but it is the Stonehorn Harpoon Launcher. It's a missile monster. So imagine the Stegodon, but with an ogre riding it, and it looks like a giant ape. That's what I saw, and you can watch the video and you will see it. He's sitting alone and he goes off to fight the Screamers. So, yeah. Interesting unit. Has high armor, pretty alright melee attack, poor melee defense, decent speed, alright leadership. Weapon strength is wow. Thought the catapult was good, but damn, look at this one. bonus versus infantry and armor piercing on that boy is 480 weapon strength. Damn. He has 18 ammunition at this point. He probably has a little bit more, probably like 25. His range is 250, and his missile strength is 149 armor piercing. Makes sense. He's also missile resistant. That's interesting. He's a missile resistant. And since it's a single entity, looks like he gets the wounded trait too. Again, they say it's a tier 3 unit. I highly doubt this is a tier 3 unit. I'm looking at this list right now, and if you can hire this boy at tier 3, why wouldn't you over the catapult? Actually, the catapult probably. It'd be a debate between him and the catapult. I think he's a tier 4 unit from the basic military monstrous unit looking tree. So, yeah. Alright. Here's the moment I highly suggest that you guys all been waiting for. Actually, not quite, but we have a fire belly. We know one of the mages is going to be a fire mage for the ogres. Guaranteed. This is a fire belly. And as you can see, of course, down there it shows that he has all the fire magics, of course. And I can see the wounded trait. I can see some fire resistance in there, so that's interesting. And his weapon strength is pretty damn good for a caster. It's 430 armor piercing. Actually, that's pretty standard for a caster, actually. Melee attack, though, that seems pretty good. He's magical and fire. Leadership's alright. Armor's a little lacking. I mean, it looked like he only wore a helmet into battle. Speed is pretty standard for infantry unit. And melee defense was 32. I don't like the melee defense being that low, but he's a caster. Makes sense. Don't throw him into battle. Now, Scrag the Slaughter. We have his unit card. He's a wizard. Looks like maybe Pestilence is his spell list. I would have to... This is like almost the best image I could get. He's 30 armor, pretty good melee defense, pretty good melee attack, and anti-infantry armor piercing 430 weapon strength. That seems pretty damn good, if I don't say it myself. So yeah, we have Scrags the Slaughter's freaking unit card. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. But yeah, I don't know what exactly his spell list is. It looks like it is probably Pestilence. Maybe it's going to be a mixture of Miracles and Pestilence, but we'll see. But this has been me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If so, leave a like and comment below. See you guys later. Bye-bye.